lose service for any reason, Kylie is here and she's got a bunch of information for you as well. So stick with us whether or not I get kicked out of the room, quote unquote. Um, so this session today is really about the 300 hour. I am open to any and all questions related to that and otherwise, but I want to start by explaining what exactly is this? What is the structure? What can you expect for those of you who are considering it, who are on the fence? Those of you who are already enrolled in it and are like, what did I get myself into? I want to make that as clear as possible because it is not your standard 300-hour training. And so it bears a little bit of explanation what exactly we're trying to do with this training. The R.E.A.D.Y 300-hour training, the R.E.A.D.Y is an acronym. All good scientists love an acronym. So the R.E.A.D.Y training stands for research, ethics, accessibility, and discernment in yoga. And so the focus of the training is on evidence-informed practice in yoga, which does not mean only understanding research. That is a part of it. And I'll talk about the part of it that occupies. But it's understanding the research as well as understanding your own expertise, who you are as a person with lived experience, either with arthritis and chronic pain yourself, with other lived experience that we all have. Who are you? What have you known and seen? What have you learned over the course of your life so far? And how do you bring that to the training of other people in yoga, whether you're a yoga teacher, a yoga therapist, a yoga trainer, however you bring yoga to people, how are you bringing your whole self to that in a way that is ethical? So that's the E is for ethics, because if you have evidence-informed practice and it is not grounded in ethics, stuff happens that is out of alignment with what we know of yoga from a philosophical perspective. And we all have seen examples of that. So it's the ethical application of the best research evidence, who I am and what I know. And I use that to improve the accessibility of yoga for whoever I'm serving. No yoga can be accessible to everyone at the same time, because what makes it accessible for one person makes it inaccessible for another, right? If we think about, just the pace. Too fast isn't accessible for one person, too slow isn't accessible for somebody else. So too warm of a room isn't accessible for one person, too cool of a room isn't accessible for someone else. So it's about serving the people that are in the room, which requires having some discernment. And that's what the D stands for. How do I use discernment? How do I use my own inner wisdom, my intuition, and the input, the perspectives of the people in the room themselves in order to make yoga accessible and appropriate for them? So that is the intention of the training, for it to really embody all of that. It is very ambitious. And because it's very ambitious, it's a 300-hour training, but it takes place over the course of 2 years, because this is not something that you become in a month. This is a process of becoming that takes time. So it is a 2-year commitment, because we want you to live into becoming a yoga professional that is in alignment with all of these concepts. When you have 300 hours that's spread out over 2 years, it means it's not a whole lot of work all at once, right? So you learn a little bit, you digest it, you apply it, you refine it. It's like a spiral. You learn a little bit more, you apply that, you evaluate it, you consider it, you refine it, right? And so it has an opportunity to seep in to the way that you practice, instead of what often happens with more intensive trainings is it's like you drink from a fire hose, you get a ton of information in a very short period of time, and then you've got to start the process of applying it. This is applying it as we go all along over the course of the 2 years. It's a hybrid training. So it is entirely online, but it is a combination of synchronous and asynchronous. We may know what that means in this modern era, and some of us may still be unclear about what exactly is that jargon. So it's fully online, meaning you can do it from wherever you are. That also means that whoever you are, whatever your needs are, we want to make it accessible for you. So you engage in this in your real life, right? But it's all online, a combination of self-paced material that you're going to move through at your own pace based on the timing that works for you, and some content that's synchronous, meaning we're all getting together, we're online at the same time in community, learning together. So it's not like, here's a bunch of content, good luck, right? That's a fully asynchronous course, is like, we made a bunch of stuff, now, have at it. It is not that. It's, we made a bunch of stuff and we're going to stick with you and move through it together. We're going to be available. We're going to be responsive. So even the content that is asynchronous is mentored, meaning that you're going to be responding to discussion prompts, to little assignments, to integration practices, and I am going to be there to see what you're doing and to respond to it, to ask you follow-up questions. What do you think about that? Have you tried this? Have you seen this resource? So none of it are you left on your own to figure it out yourself. You are supported and mentored through all of it, but some of it, you're doing it on your own time, and some of it you're doing in real time with us. So when I say what's the it that I'm talking about? The way that the R.E.A.D.Y training is compiled, it's modular. So there are a series of different pieces to it. And that includes the 3 Yoga for Arthritis continuing education courses. So it does have a focus on working with arthritis and chronic pain, but it is broader than that. First of all, chronic pain is enormous. The 2 main reasons that people come to yoga are pain and stress. And pain increases stress, stress increases pain. So learning how to work with pain requires also learning how to help people with stress management. So that combined is going to apply to the vast majority of people who are seeking therapeutic yoga in any form. So you are going to get that foundational training, which is 101 hours. Now, for those of you who have already completed any one or all of those 3 continuing education courses, you're going to get credit for that. You're not going to be expected to redo it. You will get credit for that. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, or Kylie will. So it includes 101 hours focused on applying yoga to the whole person experience of life with arthritis and chronic pain. It also includes a series of mini courses that are modules that you will complete. And those are asynchronous, except that for each one, you're going to have some synchronous time with that faculty member. So those are a series of guest faculty with expertise in their field who have created short trainings focused on studying and applying the wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita into daily life and chronic pain management, the tools of Ayurveda as they align with yoga and apply to yoga practice and teaching. So not to become an Ayurvedic professional, but to understand yoga as a sister science to yoga. So Introduction to Ayurveda is another one of them. Yoga and Social Justice, which is taught by Jeevana Heyman. And so that is its own course, which is, with all of the craziness in the world right now, what does yoga have to say about it? How do I take the teachings of yoga and think about how to bring that into whatever moves me, if that's disability rights, if that's access to education, if that's healthcare, right? Like, what matters to me in the world, and how do I bring the wisdom of yoga into that action, whatever that means for me? So that's Jeevana's mini course that's in there as well. There's yoga for all bodies. So that has an inclusive perspective on working with people of different sizes and shapes when it comes to not only making sure that the asana is appropriate and accessible for all bodies, but that the way that we talk about, the way that we frame yoga, the way that we offer and teach yoga, the space that we set up, the way that we market our information, that all of that is warm and welcoming to all people without exclusion, right? So that is a fabulous mini course that is also part of the training. And then there is the consideration, there's a short bit that is focused on identity structures and, what does it mean to offer yoga in a way that is accessible and inclusive to people of different religious backgrounds, people of different cultural backgrounds, because we're all bringing yoga into different places with different people. Yoga comes from a specific cultural tradition. We are often bringing it to other specific cultural traditions. And so how do we navigate that as yoga professionals? So all of those are sort of mini pieces that are part of the 300-hour training. Then there is the journal club and journal club. So there's the journal club that I'm offering to the public. That's a different story, right? That's optional. You can come, you cannot come, totally up to you. That's a service. But journal club within the 300-hour is looking at some seminal studies as a way to increase our literacy, our competence, our comfort with reading, understanding, applying research literature. And that actually overlaps with our 200-hour training that is happening right now. So our 200-hour students are going to be in the journal club with the 300-hour students. The 200-hour students will also be in the same room when our guest faculty come for Q&A. So for all of those mini courses, we have Gita, we have Ayurveda, we have all bodies, we have social justice. All of those, you're going to get an opportunity to interact in real time with the faculty member, and the students who are currently in the 200-hour are going to have that opportunity as well. So it makes for a rich and robust discussion. Okay, all of that plus, and wait, there's more. Plus, there is a research literacy. It's actually Understanding Yoga Research is the name of the course. And that is the companion course to my third book that is coming out this year in 2026. And so that is going to be a course where I hold your hand through becoming an evidence-informed teacher. Where do I find information? How do I figure out which information is high quality? What parts of that information are actually relevant to my students? How do I take the information from that and actually use it to inform the way that I teach, or the way that I talk to a hospital administrator, or the way that I write a grant proposal to get my classes covered by my local county, right? So all of that is going to be in the Understanding Yoga Research course. And lastly, and yes, this is lastly, the last piece of the 300-hour is a capstone project. That capstone project is individual. So you as a 300-hour student get to decide, what am I really interested in? It could be super narrow or it could be broad. You and I will decide together, what is that capstone focus that you want and what is a reasonable, I stress reasonable because everybody wants to do a bigger project than is reasonable. What is a reasonable project that I can execute that's going to help me lean into that topic and become more of an expert? And so, for example, maybe it's a rare condition that you're interested in learning more about. Maybe it's how do I become a better teacher online. Maybe it's, I really want to forge relationships with my local hospital, right? So what is that project that you want to do that's going to up-level you as an instructor in alignment with what we would expect and more from somebody who has that 300-hour designation? So you will be mentored by me for that capstone project, and that's the final piece of the 300-hour training. Now, I just listed a whole bunch of pieces and parts Some of those you may have done, others you may not have done. Oh, and I also, Kylie's going to tell me I forgot Intro to Meditation, which is also in there. Intro to Meditation is an amazing course. It's not very long, but I really think it's a gem. It's about how to practice meditation accessibly, or how to teach meditation accessibly. Meditation is so incredibly powerful from an evidence-based perspective. The changes that happen when somebody meditates consistently are mind-blowing. And I use that figuratively, but it's actually changes in your mind, as well as in the relationship between your mind and body, that are measurable and phenomenal. But there are a lot of barriers to meditation. So that Intro to Meditation course is a training in how to make meditation more accessible, similar to the way that we make asana more accessible in many of our classes. Okay, so the way that this works is that when you enroll in the 300-hour training or soon thereafter, you will have a meeting with me. In that meeting, you and I will put together a plan of action for how you're going to move through this content over the 2 years. So it's going to be a little bit different for each person. How fast or slow you want to go through the material, when certain things fit into your life and your schedule, what parts of it you've already done, what is really most compelling and exciting to you. You've got to do it all, but the way that you move through it is going to be individualized. So you and I will set up a meeting, and we will plan out, okay, I'm going to start with the Intro to Meditation course, because that I really want to apply right away in this course that I'm already teaching. I've already done, the first of the CEUs for Yoga for Arthritis. So after the Intro to Meditation course, I'm going to jump into the second one in that series. And then I want to do this, that, and the other. Okay, so you and I will figure out where that's going to map out. Everyone, however, is going to do all of the short course content in that first year. The second year is going to be focused on the Understanding Yoga Research course and the capstone project. So the goal will be to finish all of the short course content in 2026, so that 2027 is available for the Understanding Yoga Research and the capstone project. If that doesn't work for an individual person or two, and we need to move things around a little bit, we have the flexibility to do that. But that's the way I envision it, just so you have a sense of how you're going to move through. So over the course of that time, there will be periodic cohort meetings where we all get together as a 300-hour group and check in and ask, how is it going? Where are you stuck? What are you excited about? What challenges have you had? So we can all learn from and support each other in community. And as you know, there will be those periodic touch points where you'll be in courses with guest faculty and with the 200-hour students as well. So that's the framework, and that's the structure of it. There are times when we will meet synchronously, and the guest faculty will all be coming on Thursdays, sometime between 3 and 5 Pacific time, which is 6 to 8. Do I have that right? 3 to 5 Pacific, which is 6 to 8 Eastern time. And whatever time zone you're in, you can adjust for that. It's not going to be nearly every week. It will be periodically that you'll be expected to come and meet synchronously with guest faculty. So that's when those are scheduled. You are welcome to also come to any of the sessions in the 200-hour training that interest you. It's actually a phenomenal 200-hour training. And so this is a benefit of the 300. It comes with an audit of the 200-hour, which, guys, this is enormous. This is a ton of additional content that allows you to go back to basics. If that's overwhelming and you're like, there's no way I could come every Thursday, there's no way I want all of that additional content, totally fine. It's completely optional, but it's there for you. So if you want to go back to basics and rethink about, like, what does it actually mean to practice satya in my daily life? What does it mean, in my teaching? Going back to some of the sutras, the kleshas and the gunas, and, some of these concepts that you may not use in your teaching all the time, or that you feel like my 200 hour just didn't cover as deeply as I hoped that it would, and I could use a refresher on that. Revisiting what are all of the different ways that I could teach a warrior pose, right? So that's the kind of back to basics that is happening in the 200 hour. You could come to as much or as little of that as you want, but we will let you know which of those Thursday sessions is an overlap between the 200 and the 300 hour curricula. The cohort meetings of the 300 hour students alone, that has not been set. Okay. So that will be something where we'll ask everybody, what's your schedule? What works for you? And we'll figure out something that's going to work for everybody in the group. The same is true for the Understanding Research course. That's not till 2027. The dates are not set for the live sessions that are going to happen as part of Understanding Yoga Research. So we will work around you. We'll know who our 300 hour students are. There will be some people who just come in for the Understanding Research course, and they'll have to work around us because we're going to set it based on the 300 hour students. Okay. Who is this training for? This training is for you if you want to up level the way that you offer yoga in alignment with evidence, with ethical conduct, with your own intuition, with wise discernment. If you want to focus on accessibility in the way that you deliver yoga, the way that you talk about yoga, share yoga, practice yoga, and if you are willing and interested in putting in the time and effort to do that. So it is a 300 hour commitment over the course of 2 years. So if this sounds like too much to get into, then maybe the timing is not right for you. And that is totally fine. If you don't like to learn things online, this may not be for you. If you want to do, all of your learning in person, this is not in person. There are a couple of things that you might be able to do in person. Like we have a training in Yogaville for those who haven't done the foundations course yet. If you want to come to Yogaville and do that in person, awesome. There may be other in-person opportunities, but the vast majority of this is going to be online, synchronous and asynchronous. If you don't have a good internet connection, if you have trouble dealing with technology, right? Those may be barriers that are important and real to consider. So, think about that style of learning and whether that's a fit for you. It's also a combination of synchronous and asynchronous, which means you're going to have to set a schedule for yourself of when am I going to focus on this material. If you struggle with the discipline of staying on track with, committing to this is when I'm going to do this work and staying on top of it, then this also may be a challenging format for you. We will do everything we can to make it as accessible for you as possible in alignment with the name itself. And you've got to do the work too. So think about whether that kind of structure is going to work for you. And Kylie points out that when we take 300 hours and we break it up over 2 years, it's like less than 3 hours a week. Okay. I mean, it's going to be more or less depending on the week, right? If it's a week where we have 2 hours of live training together, then that week you may do a little less asynchronous. Yeah. So it comes out to less than 3 hours a week, but it's a sustained commitment of that time over the course of 2 years. So that's something to consider whether you're interested in focusing on that. And it does have, while it's broadly applicable, it does have a fair amount of content that is specific to managing chronic pain. And so if that's not your jam, if you're really not that interested in the science of pain, how people manage pain, the lived experience of navigating chronic pain, this may not be your thing, and that is totally fine too. The course also comes with Yoga for Arthritis membership. And so in addition, I said, wait, there's more. There is still even more. So it comes with membership. Membership has access to a whole back end of additional content to explore. So if you're like 3 hours is not enough, I really want to like jump in with both feet. There is so much more that you can do that you're going to get access to with the membership it's a resource that's available to you, and you could go down a rabbit hole and spend a whole lot of time exploring a lot of that content. And it also comes with monthly sessions that I do. We call them a First Friday Focus, where I cover a specific topic in depth for a period of time. And then we have open Q&A for anybody who wants to come with any kind of question at all. So that's available for our whole Yoga for Arthritis community, and the 300-hour students will be a part of that. And then you'll also have a community. And so that's an online forum where you can connect with other students who are also in the training. And then we also have a private Facebook group. And so if you want to connect not only with your 300-hour colleagues, but also with the broader Yoga for Arthritis community, which includes people living with arthritis and chronic pain, and also professionals who work with that population, that's a great place to go to for additional information. Yeah, and there's also a community in the membership, Kylie is reminding me. Okay. In terms of mentorship, so if you are in the 300-hour training, I am your mentor. That's actually a requirement of Yoga Alliance. And so if you are somebody who has not yet done the 3-course series, the Yoga for Arthritis 3-course series, the second of that 3-course series is a mentored practicum. So if you haven't already done that, it will be part of your 300-hour, and I will be your mentor for it, which means you will be expected to teach some classes, to record yourself teaching those classes, to watch that recording. I will also watch the recording. We'll talk about it as a way to set goals for how you want to up level as a teacher. So I would say another criteria is that you've got to be willing to look at your own teaching with compassion and with a growth mindset. So that means appreciating where you are and also looking for opportunities to grow. I will bring the same. I will bring compassion for you. We are all growing. And I'm also going to bring a lens of discernment of where are there opportunities for you to up level. I want you to get out of this training far more than you think that you might. And so I'm going to show up for you as much as you're going to show up for yourself. The capstone, everybody is going to be mentored by me for the capstone. So the capstone involves regular meetings with me where we set your plan, what you're going to work on, how you're going to move through it. There is a mentorship structure that we already have in place. We have a handful of students who are already being mentored by me in their yoga teaching and yoga therapy. And so that structure already exists, and you will be plugged into that once you've finished all of the smaller courses and are ready for that experience. Enrollment timeline, this is happening soon. So the time sensitive nature of it is that the first live session is next month. And that actually has a little bit of advanced reading. So there are a couple of papers for you to read before you come. And so I want you to get enrolled in enough time to be able to get that reading material and do the reading to show up prepared and ready for discussion. And so if you are thinking about this, if you're on the fence, get your questions answered and get into the course so that you can get started. If you show up to that first session and you haven't looked at the reading, it's okay, but you're going to get more out of it if you do the reading in advance. A note on the reading: we're going to make that reading as accessible to you as possible using whatever technology you need. So if you need a format where you can blow it up and make it bigger on your screen, if you want to use technology that will read it to you, there are lots of things that you can access to make challenging reading more possible. And I don't expect you to understand everything you read. We're going to be reading some dense science, not right away, but eventually. And again, it really requires some self-compassion to say, I'm going to do my best with this and I'm going to get some things out of it. And some of it is going to go like way over my head, but I'm going to trust that the more I read, the better I'm going to get at it. It's like if you read Shakespeare, you know, when you first start to look at it, it's like, what in the heck are they saying? And the more time you spend with it, the more you start to get an understanding of the vernacular, of the cadence, of the way that things are worded. It's a totally different dialect of English than most people are used to. So you've got to be patient with yourself and also do not operate out of fear avoidance. Right? Fear avoidance is what we sometimes do when we're experiencing pain and we think, oh, if I move, it's going to make me feel worse, when actually that's exactly what I should be doing to feel better. If you are not scientifically literate and you bring a perspective of fear avoidance to it, you are never going to grow in your capacity to understand science. However, if you say, you know what, I'm just going to show up exactly as I am and I'm going to do my best and I'm going to trust that the more I do it, the better I'll get at it, that's where the opportunity for growth is. So I want to bring that as an important point, because I think fear avoidance keeps us oftentimes from the opportunities for us to up level. Okay. So Kylie is making a finer point here that the deadline for enrollment is Friday, March 6th. So that is like, what, 10 days away or something like that. And that gives you an opportunity to get the reading done for the first joint session, which is going to be on Thursday. You say Thursday, the 12 p.m., but what you mean is Thursday, the 12th, Thursday, March 12th at 6 p.m. Eastern and 3 p.m. Pacific. So mark your calendars. And if I have an opportunity to meet with you individually before that to map out your plan, we will do that. But it's okay if you come to that first meeting and we don't have your plan set up yet. We've got time. We will get your plan set up. So you can expect, if you're already enrolled in the 300, you will be hearing from Kylie to schedule a time to meet with me to map out your plan. And if you haven't enrolled, that will be happening soon. So over the next few weeks, we'll be meeting with everybody to make sure that you get a plan. And that's something that we're going to co-create together to make sure that it works for you and that it also accomplishes everything in the time frame available. All right. I think we're to the Q&A.
Yes, but before you start, can you touch briefly upon, we had a couple people ask about Yogaville and how
Oh, yeah.
the hour deduction in the price. Can you just touch briefly on
Oh,
that
yeah,
before
yeah,
we
yeah.
get to phase
Very
two?
important. Very important. Absolutely. Okay. So some of you may have if you are a part of the Yoga for Arthritis community, if you've been in some of our courses previously, you probably have done some of the content that's in the 300-hour training. So the way that this works is the total number of hours is 300, and whatever number of hours that's in the course that you've already completed, the cost will be reduced by that proportion of it, right? So let's say what you've completed is the Yoga for Arthritis series, right? Foundations, mentorship, and the certification course, which used to be called levels 1, 2, and 3. If that's what you've done, that's 100 hours out of 300 hours, which means the price will be reduced by 1/3. Okay, so it's simple math. Well, it's simple math, but in all actuality, it's a lot of complicated math for Kylie, because she's got to go in and figure out which things you did and how many of the hours that includes and how to reduce it by the right amount. So Kylie is mathing the math, and she will, if you have done any trainings with us already, she will individually figure out what is the price for the 300-hour for you based on what you have completed. So it's a proportion of the training that gets subtracted from it based on
And
what
I,
you've completed.
I would like to add that once we figured out that number, you get your own specific sign up link.
Yes, exactly. So she's going to personalize your price based on the content you've already completed, and she will give you a link to sign up so that that's the price that you get. Now, how Yogaville fits into this. If you have not done foundations of Yoga for Arthritis and Chronic Pain yet, that is being offered this summer. That is the first in the 3-course series, the Yoga for Arthritis 3-course series that is 100 hours in total. So what's going to happen for those of you who haven't done that yet is we're going to start you with all of the other mini courses, right? We'll start you with Intro to Meditation, with Ayurveda, Bhagavad Gita, social justice, yoga for all bodies. So you can get all of that done before you start the Yoga for Arthritis series, because that has to start with foundations. So if you're holding off for Yogaville, there's a whole bunch we can do to move you forward before that happens. You'll do the training, the foundations training at Yogaville, followed by the rest of the Yoga for Arthritis series. So the rest of that 100 hours in the Yoga for Arthritis continuing education series. So Kylie just put the link to the Yogaville training. You will sign up for the Yogaville training separately with Yogaville because that's administered by Yogaville. But again, we will do the math and we'll figure out what your 300-hour price is so that it accounts for the fact that you're doing foundations at Yogaville for those of you who want to do that live. And I highly recommend it, whether or not you have ever been to Yogaville. It's an idyllic place to study and practice yoga. Does that answer the question, Kylie? About okay.
Yes.
Are there
you.
other questions in the live?
I'm just going to say this while I have the mic for a second, because I'm also getting this email. That means that level 3, right, is going to
Oh yeah,
be at the end of 2026. So I know we
right.
have a couple people that are curious when we're running level 3. If you're in the bundle or if you're shifting from the bundle to 300-hour, level 3 will be at the end of 2026.
Right. So if you have done your mentorship and you're waiting on level 3, you're going to be waiting until the end of 2026 because everybody who hasn't yet done foundations and mentorship has to catch up to you. So again, there are other things to do in the meantime while you're waiting on the level 3. Also, if
And
you haven't done foundations and mentorship, we're going to start there because we want to make sure that you get through that so that because, okay, for those of you who don't know, the level 3 is synchronous. It's online and all of the hours are live with me. And so everybody's got to do that together. Again, we will plan it around your schedules. So we'll make sure that it works for the 300-hour students.
And something that I wanted to say as well is yoga. So some of these hours count to IAYT, and some of these, and all of these
Yes.
hours count towards Yoga Alliance.
Yeah.
So our Yoga for Arthritis specialization, right? Becoming a specialist, the 101 hours of CEUs is IAYT approved. And then the 300-hour program is Yoga Alliance approved. So
I think there's more that's IAYT approved as well. I think is the Intro to Meditation course
Intro to
IAYT
Meditation
approved?
course is IAYT, and
Bhagavad
the
Gita,
yeah, I was
Ayurveda.
gonna say
Yeah.
it'll be a little bit, I mean, it'll definitely be over 101, but I think it's like 150 hours towards
Okay.
IAYT. Um, and it's the 300 hours to Yoga Alliance. So
Right.
I
And
wanted
you
to
can double
just
dip there. So you can count those hours toward both Yoga Alliance and IAYT if you're somebody who has dual credential with both.
yes. All right. That's all I wanted to stress. I'm sorry.
Are there other questions? Oh, I have gotten the question, what if I already have a 300-hour? This is totally different from whatever, like this is, so if you don't have a 300-hour yet, this will get you the 300-hour credential, which is an RYT 500 with Yoga Alliance or an ERYT 500, depending on how many hours of experience you have. Honestly, I think that it's far more about the content, about the learning, about the skill set that you're going to gain than it is about being able to put that RYT 500 after your name. So you will get that if you don't have it already. And I wouldn't let having a 300-hour already be a barrier because I assure you, this is unlikely to overlap with anything that you have learned in your prior 300-hour training. It's just very different. It's highly specialized in a really particular skill set and framework that is not the lens that most 300-hour trainings are operating through. So I think that this is as relevant, as meaningful, as valuable for somebody that is already an RYT 500 as somebody who isn't. Similarly, for yoga therapy, a lot of this is just not covered in standard yoga therapy training. Some of it is, right? Some of the accessibility stuff, I hope, is in most yoga therapy trainings, but understanding yoga research definitely is not. The individualized capstone project, you get to decide what you want that to be, right? So that's going to be very different from anything that you've done before. So I would say whatever your credential is, as long as you have a 200-hour training, that is the prerequisite for this, and it's the only one. And that being said, I don't care if you have a current active 200-hour RYT designation or not. If you have completed 200 hours of yoga training, then you have the foundation of knowledge that you need in order to enter this training. So if Yoga Alliance and, their membership fee is not important to you and you're not active with Yoga Alliance, that's fine. You're welcome to be a part of this. It's for anyone and everyone who has a basic foundation in training as a yoga teacher, right? So this is not a training to become a yoga teacher. I want people coming in already with that knowledge and skill set, but beyond that, there's nobody who isn't a fit for it. Unless you self-select out of it for the reasons that we already discussed. But don't let your designation be an issue because it's not for us.
Can you briefly talk about the 200-hour that is already starting? And if
Oh,
they're
yeah.
really dedicated, they could probably
Yeah,
catch
yeah.
up because we had that
Yeah.
come up on
Yeah,
Facebook.
absolutely. Okay, if you are not a yoga teacher, so the 300-hour is for yoga teachers. You have to be a yoga teacher already. It's assuming that knowledge and skill set. If you are not a yoga teacher and you want to be, we have a 200-hour training that is currently underway. It meets every Thursday for 2 hours for 1 year. And it started mid-January, which means that we're about a month in to a year-long training. Now, Kylie can do the math on that. 200 hours over a year is not a huge commitment each week, but you do have a month of content to catch up on, right? So I think it's like 18 hours of content that we have already covered, or 20. Right. So it's less than 4 hours a week of content. We can round it and say 4 hours a week. So up to this point, we have covered about 18 hours of content. If you want to join that training late, you can. You have to be somebody who is willing and able to put in the extra effort to catch up on the content that you've missed. Okay. So if you are not yet a yoga teacher and you want to become one, or you took a 200-hour and you feel like you did not get the knowledge that you were hoping for, or you didn't finish it, or you've been teaching yoga, but you feel like you're missing some basics, this is a come as you are training. It is designed for people who are living with chronic conditions who want to become yoga teachers. And a lot of yoga teacher trainings are not accessible, safe, appropriate, etc. The idea of the come as you are training is literally you come as you are. So you show up on Thursdays, whether you're in bed with a heating pad, or you're on the floor with your legs up the wall, or your camera is off because you have a headache and you can't be on screen. You come as you are. We show up in community for each other. And everything gets recorded. So if you need to revisit something because you had brain fog and you couldn't really digest the information at the time, we want that to be as accessible as possible so that people with lived experience of chronic conditions can become yoga teachers and become the kind of yoga teachers that are going to help to make yoga accessible for other people who have chronic conditions, which is desperately needed in representation in the yoga teacher workforce. So you can join that and catch up on the content that you've missed. And we can talk about individually how to do that. It's also possible to audit the 200-hour just on its own. And so if you already have a 200-hour credential, you're already a teacher, but you want to go revisit the basics, you can actually audit that 200 hour for half price and you come whenever you want. So in that case, you already have a 200 hour, you're already a yoga teacher. We don't need to make sure that you're there a certain number of hours. You can come as much or as little as you want. You can do as much or as little of the asynchronous work as you want. So that is another option for people who do want to go back to basics and don't want to necessarily go the direction of the 300 hours focus. So Kylie, you put a link to the 300 hour. Did you want to put a link to the 200 hour?
Yes, let me grab that real fast.
Are there other
And the majority of
questions?
people that I'm seeing, I mean, everybody on Zoom, I know, and we have a conversation with. Anybody on Facebook? I see a couple people that I recognize and a couple people that I don't. If you've done a yoga for arthritis training and you're just kind of curious to see how that would drop your payment, shoot me an email. So these payments are split. Like you could obviously pay in one lump sum, or you can divide it for 24 months, which makes it incredibly reasonable, right? Um, for everything that you get. But wait, there's more. So if you're kind of curious on what you could get your payment down to and how affordable you can make it, please shoot me an email because there's a few people on Facebook that I don't recognize.
And if you have questions later on and you think, oh, I really should have asked that when we were in the info session, you can respond to this thread in Facebook and we will catch it. Or if you're on Zoom, you're probably going to get a recording and you can reply to that. Or you can just email us and say, hey, I've got some questions about the 300, the 200, the Yogaville, any and all of it. And if you want a little like baby steps in the direction of this, start coming to Journal Club, check out the podcast, The Yoga Room, as a way to get oriented toward our work focused on yoga for arthritis and chronic pain. Um, Check out my book. You could do any of those mini courses on their own, if you're not ready for the commitment of the 300-hour training. So lots of options. All
I
right.
think we're good on Facebook. We don't have any questions. We're good to
All right.
go.
Sounds good. I'm going to get into LA rush hour traffic. So
May
wish
the
me
odds
luck.
be ever in your favor.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Good to see you all. Bye bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.